Stop. If you use cash, you need to hear this right now. Banks across America are implementing new restrictions that are making it harder for seniors to access their own money. This is happening this month, right now, to real people. And if you do not know what is coming, you could find yourself unable to pay for groceries, medicine, or essential bills. I know that sounds extreme, but I promise you this is real. I am going to show you exactly what is happening, why it is happening, and most importantly, what you can do right now to protect yourself. Keep watching, because what I share in the next 30 minutes could be worth thousands of dollars to you and prevent a financial emergency. I have spent years studying how banks interact with older Americans and helping seniors protect their financial access. Everything I share today comes from real cases and verified information. This is not about scaring you. It is about arming you with information before a crisis hits. Banks are implementing restrictions quietly, and the people being hurt the most are seniors who rely on cash. Here is what we will cover today. First, exactly what banks are doing and which groups are being hit hardest. Second, your legal rights when a bank tries to limit your access. Third, specific alternative methods that real people are using right now. Fourth, a step-by-step action plan you can implement this week. By the end, you will know exactly what to do. You will have specific phone numbers, websites, and steps you can take starting today. If you find this valuable, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss critical updates. Banks are implementing multiple restrictions that specifically affect seniors. The first involves daily withdrawal limits being lowered without notice. Many banks that previously allowed seniors to withdraw $5,000 or more per day have capped those limits at $1,000 or lower. For someone who needs to pay rent in cash or cover unexpected expenses, a $1,000 daily limit can be devastating. The second restriction involves what banks call unusual activity monitoring. When seniors try to withdraw more than the new limits allow, even across multiple days for legitimate reasons, banks flag those transactions as potential fraud. This triggers a chain of events that can freeze your account entirely. You might get a phone call from the bank asking you to verify transactions, and while that sounds harmless, it can take days to resolve. I have heard from seniors who waited 2 weeks for their bank to verify legitimate transactions, and during that time, they could not pay rent, buy groceries, or fill prescriptions. The third restriction involves branch closures in areas where older customers predominate. Banks have been systematically closing branches in neighborhoods with high concentrations of seniors, while opening new branches in areas with younger, more tech-savvy populations. Seniors who depend on in-person services are finding their nearest branch is now miles away. But the most alarming restriction involves cognitive decline monitoring. Banks are using algorithms to flag accounts belonging to seniors who display patterns that might indicate cognitive decline. The problem is these algorithms are deeply flawed. They flag legitimate transactions simply because they do not fit the pattern of a typical 20-year-old's spending. If you withdraw $400 once a month because you buy in bulk, the algorithm flags that as unusual. And once your account is flagged, you might face restrictions you never asked for. I want to be very clear. Banks are doing all of this legally. Federal regulations encourage banks to monitor accounts for potential fraud and implement safeguards. But these safeguards are being applied in ways that primarily hurt seniors who are doing nothing wrong. Banks save money when they restrict cash access. They reduce liability when they flag suspicious transactions. Every single one of these restrictions benefits the bank, and every single one hurts seniors who are simply trying to access their own money. Now let us talk about what banks are legally allowed to do and what they are not. When you deposit money in a bank, that money belongs to you. Banks sometimes act as if they have the right to control how and when you access your own deposits. But the truth is, your deposits are legally yours, and banks are required to return them on request. One exception involves court orders. If a bank receives a court order freezing your account, perhaps because of an investigation or legal judgment, they can legally restrict your access. But you would typically know about those proceedings and have the opportunity to respond. Banks cannot simply decide on their own to freeze your account because they do not like your transaction patterns. Another important protection involves reasonable accommodation for seniors. Federal banking regulations require banks to provide reasonable accommodations for customers with disabilities or who have difficulty using standard banking services. This means if you are a senior who has difficulty with technology or has physical limitations, the bank must work with you to provide access to your money. They cannot simply say you must use online banking if you are unable to do so. If they refuse, you can file complaints that actually matter. Banks are regulated by multiple agencies that take complaints seriously. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, and your state's banking regulator all have complaint processes that banks must respond to. When a senior files a complaint about access restrictions, the bank has to investigate and respond. Those complaints go on record, and banks that receive many complaints can face regulatory scrutiny. A senior in Arizona was trying to withdraw $1,500 for home repairs. The bank told her daily limit was $500, and she would have to wait 3 days. She filed a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Within 1 week, the bank apologized and raised her daily limit to $3,000. The complaint worked. These are the specific strategies that real seniors are using right now to maintain cash access despite the restrictions. The first strategy involves having multiple bank accounts at different institutions. This is not about hiding money. It is about making sure that if one bank restricts your access, you have another where you can still get cash. Choose 2 or 3 banks that have different policies and different branch locations. Spread your savings across these institutions so that no single restriction can cut off all of your access. The second strategy involves credit unions. Credit unions are not-for-profit institutions that serve their members rather than their shareholders. Because they do not have the same profit pressures as big banks, they tend to be more flexible about withdrawal limits and senior accommodations. Many credit unions have lower fees, higher daily limits, and more personal service. Consider switching some of your accounts to a local credit union. The third strategy involves prepaid cards and reloadable debit cards. These cards allow you to load cash at various retail locations and function like debit cards for purchases and withdrawals. Some prepaid cards have much higher withdrawal limits than traditional bank accounts and do not have the same algorithms flagging your transactions. Choose a card from a reputable company with low fees and free ATM withdrawals. The fourth strategy involves finding a trusted family member or friend who can be added to your account as an authorized user. They can make withdrawals on your behalf, giving you a backup person who can help you access your money if the bank gives you trouble. Choose someone you trust completely, understand your values, and live close enough to help when needed. The fifth strategy involves cash back at the register. Many retailers, including grocery stores and drugstores, will give you cash back when you make a purchase with a debit card. This allows you to get cash without making a separate ATM withdrawal and often bypasses daily limits on ATM transactions. If you regularly buy groceries, this is an easy way to get a couple $100s in cash every time you shop without triggering bank alerts. Here is your step-by-step action plan that you can implement this week. First, call your bank this week. Do not wait until you have a problem. Call the customer service number on the back of your debit card and ask specifically about your daily withdrawal limit and what happens if you need to withdraw more than the limit allows. Write down the answers you receive, including the name of the person you spoke with and the date and time. Second, open a second bank account at a different institution within the next 30 days. Choose a credit union if one is available, or a smaller regional bank with different policies. You do not need to move all of your money. Just move enough to give yourself a backup option. Experts recommend keeping 1 to 2 months of expenses in your backup account. Third, get a prepaid card as a tertiary backup option. Look for cards with low fees and high withdrawal limits. Load a couple $100s as a starting point. Having this card gives you one more option when you need cash. Fourth, identify a trusted person who can help you if you ever need assistance accessing your money. Have a conversation with them about what you would want them to do if your bank froze your account. Consider whether adding them to your account as an authorized user makes sense. Fifth, save these phone numbers somewhere safe. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau complaint hotline is 800-9-612-452. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation Consumer Protection Number is 800-934-3924. Your state banking regulator's number can be found by searching online for your state name plus banking regulator. Sixth, talk to the seniors in your life about what you have learned today. Many seniors do not know about these restrictions or the alternatives. By sharing this information, you might prevent a financial crisis for someone you love. We have covered a lot of ground. Banks are implementing restrictions on cash access that disproportionately affect seniors. These restrictions are legal, but they are not inevitable, and you have options. Your money in the bank belongs to you, and banks have legal obligations to provide reasonable access. Multiple backup strategies exist, including multiple bank accounts, credit unions, prepaid cards, and authorized users. The time to prepare is now, before you have a crisis, not after. I know some of you might think this sounds like a lot of work and be tempted to hope it does not happen to you. But I have seen too many seniors end up in difficult situations because they did not take simple steps to protect themselves. A couple of hours of preparation now can save you days of stress later. A second bank account opened this month could be the difference between being able to pay your rent or facing impossible choices. You have more control over your financial access than you might think. Banks have power, but they do not have absolute power, and there are always options. Do not let fear paralyze you. Let this information empower you to take the steps you need to take. Your financial security is worth the effort. If this video was helpful, please take a moment to like it and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below. Subscribe to this channel and check out the other videos on related topics. Thank you for giving me your time today. I hope you walk away feeling more confident about your ability to protect yourself and your family. Until next time, take care. And remember, the banks might be making things difficult, but you are not powerless. You just need to know what to do.